So in this training video, we're going to talk about the structure of a template when dealing with static data. I'm going to basically open an example. So here I am on my PostTrans toolbar. I'm using PostTrans for Xero here, but works exactly the same for Sage 50 or 200 and all the rest of it. Let's press examples, and you can see here I've got an example here. It says static data, contacts and suppliers. Customers and suppliers. Now, so what is static data? Well, we class static data as things like chart of accounts, contacts, products. In Sage 50 and 200, you have bill of materials, all that sort of business, price lists, things that don't change, like transactions. You know, they're a completely different breed, and there's a completely different template structure for transactions. Anyway, I'm going to just double click on that to open that up. And now we've got the template open. We can see here we've got a whole series of tags in row 1. So PostTrans uses row 1 as its kind of information database of kind of the mappings between the Excel spreadsheet and whatever accounts package we're talking to. So whenever we press import or extract, the first thing PostTrans does is it reads cell A1 to see if it recognizes the value held in this note here. We can see it says Xero contact, and PostTrans would recognize that as being an interface to the contacts within a Xero. For Sage 50, you may have customers and suppliers. That'd be Sage 50 cust, Sage 50 sup. So based on that value, it can then proceed to read the rest of the tags in the spreadsheet. So here you can see they're all prefixed with CO, standing for contact. If I press the tags button here, I'll just move that window over adjacent, we can see all the different tags available or field mappings to Xero's contact database. So at present I've got a small number, and it's worth pointing out that several of these tags are required. So it always requires the value in cell A1, Xero contact. It's saying here it requires the name and it requires the CO ID. Now that's the ID that Xero identifies that contact as. In Sage 50 and 200 it's like account code. And of course in Xero you can optionally have an account code, so you could add that to the sheet. And so on. But the point is, some of them are actually required, and of course you always need a contact name, so obviously contact name is in the required list. Now as you can see, as I scroll down here, it's giving a little bit of brief information here about each tag. Now if I press the help button here, what will happen is PostTrans will go to our website, and in the bottom of most of these pages, look, there's a page on contacts. The bottom of each one of these pages, which it took me to, is a detailed explanation of each one of these tags, its capabilities, and some have actual links to other pages which detail the information in greater detail, often with demonstration videos and the like. Now, if that's not enough, we also have comments at the top here. So it's kind of, if you highlight them, it tells you what each column does and how long it is. This one is the account code, which is text 50 characters for an account code. Okay, so let's see that in action. I'm now going to press extract, and that's going to extract all the contact information from my Xero company. There it is. So there we can see, obviously under contact name, we've got contacts, first name, last name, and their email address. We've also got their ID code, which we can completely ignore. That's what Xero uses to identify the customer. We also have a weird series of numbers down here. Now, these numbers are kind of calculated on the contents of each row, which enables PostTrans to detect which cells have changed. So if I put an S on the end of there, and we've got 711, let's put 24 on the end of there, that's altered 2 records. So if I press import, PostTrans whizzes down there and detects the 2 changes. Look, it says it's updated 2 records. And so if I now go into there, so now we can see that those 2 rows got updated. And indeed in the Xero version, I can just double click on that name and pull up that contact. So you can see we added an S to the end of that record. And of course, if I wanted to add a new contact to the database, then maybe we could just type in here Sam 21. Okay, so there we have another contact, and so if I just press import, we should see again, by the way, that's just there telling me any defaults. In Sage 50 and things, you often have a lot of defaults that are set on the contact record as it imports, but Xero is a lot simpler, so it just doesn't. Okay, so that's just brought that record in. And if we double click on there, we can see that record set up within Xero. Is my new account code. So we can see how easy that is to import data. And of course, I've only got a subset of the records. So let's do a few other things. Let's customize this a little bit. Right. Obviously, we probably want to alter the address of a contact. So I'm going to find all my tags for the postal address. So there they all are. So I can just insert them into the spreadsheet, and you can see there it's just added those. I also want to change the sales nominal code or account code, what they call in Xero. Now I'm just going to extract that. Now it's actually worth pointing out there was a slight implication in doing this, that PostTrans only updates fields that you have mapped, but because I've just added a whole bunch of extra fields, then this calculation here to detect what's changed would see this as a change, because basically we've now got loads of empty fields. So now if I tried to re-import, and I believe it will actually warn me that this is the consequence of what I'm about to do, it would scrub all the addresses out. So having altered this format, it's very important that you extract the current information in your accounts package. So there we can see we've now got the address information into the template, and we said we want to change this sales account code. Let's change that on our new record. Now we've got a thing called in-cell searching, which I'm going to cover in a separate video, but effectively if I press space and tab away, it gives me all options relating to that field. So there's all my sales nominal accounts. So I could just apply the sales nominal account, and of course I could type in an address and information in there, then simply just press import to bring the data in. But I'll tell you what, before we do that, obviously this spreadsheet could get very long, so I'm just going to show you several different methods of hiding data. Now I've just dragged across that column heading, which has highlighted that whole section. I'm going to go to the data menu up here, and in here is a thing called grouping. So if I hit groups, now it's added this little minus sign here, and what I can do is if I just click on the minus sign, it collapses all that data up. And you can do this with rows as well, but it's more appropriate. In fact, we've done it over here to just hide the tags row. So it's a very handy way of hiding a whole section of the template. So of course we could go down, we could also type in here sales east, and I think if I type in west, it fills in west, and if I type in EA, it will fill in east. Let's make that north. So there we go. That's how easy it is. Of course we can use copy and paste and all that sort of good business, and we can bring that back into the accounts package. I was talking about hiding other things. Of course we can do that. We can hide them by just making the width 0, or I do believe you can go in here and go hide, in which case you'll never see that column again. So the most important thing really is that there's tags in row 1 and the data gets written to row 4. You can type what you want in row 3, and row 2 is in Sage 50 allows filtering, which we'll make another video on. So let's import those changes. There we go, 5 updates. And as you would expect, I guess if we click on that record and put it into edit, we should now see we've set sales nominal code to 213.